This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
The best Occupy Cincinnati pickup lines coming up at about 11:06. In the meantime, if you want to post them on my blog and share your thoughts, any pickup lines for those that are occupying Cincinnati or Wall Street, it's up there. You can also read the submissions thus far. Just, lines to help them if they're meeting somebody. The one I really like is, so, can my mom buy you a drink? Can my mom's credit card buy you a drink? Got the money shot at 11:10 this morning. Did you see Marlene Quinn? She's the old lady that's in the ads for issue 2, both in support and both in opposition. Well, against her will, in support of issue 2. Well, make sure. In support of Senate Bill 5. You see, that's part of the problem with this whole thing. You've got Senate Bill 5 that became issue 2. Issue 2 is repealing the law that started out as Senate Bill 5. So to say you're in support of issue 2 means you're in support of repealing Senate Bill. Boy, that gets really, really confusing. At any rate, this is a lady who is a grandmother. She's Zoe's grandmother, Zoe's great-grandmother. And she appeared in a commercial on behalf of people who do not like Senate Bill 5. The We Are Ohio group. It's backed by Democrats and labor unions and groups all over the state. So they put her in an ad, and the idea is they had a fire, and her great-granddaughter Zoe was saved by firefighters. Therefore, she says she is supporting the firefighters. She does not support Senate Bill 5 that became really issue 2, repealing it. But then the group that is pro Senate Bill 5, Building a Better Ohio, they took parts of that same commercial, the same lady, Marlene Quinn, for their "We like Senate Bill 5, do not repeal it" stance. And she's pretty upset about that. I figured out the real problem with Senate Bill 5. There is a big underlying problem that nobody has touched on. I'm going to get to that in a second, but I want to play both of these commercials and get your take on it. Is this just clever marketing on behalf of Building a Better Ohio, the anti-Senate Bill 5 people, or the pro-Senate Bill 5 people? Is it just clever marketing? I mean, they had a little clip of her. They put her in the commercial to tell their side of the story. Or was it wrong? All right, first I'm going to give you the commercial that she appeared in, that she supported, that does not like Senate Bill 5 from the We Are Ohio group.
If not for the firefighters, we wouldn't have our Zoe today. That's why it is so important to vote no on issue 2. Issue 2 makes it illegal to negotiate for enough firefighters to do the job. Fewer firefighters can mean the difference between life or death. Vote no on issue 2.
All right, so vote no on issue 2. All right, here is the follow-up one, Building a Better Ohio. This is the pro issue 2. Here you are. This is again.
When the fire broke out, there wasn't a moment to spare. If not for the firefighters, we wouldn't have our Zoe today.
She's right. By voting no on issue 2, our safety will be threatened. Without issue 2, communities will need to lay off hardworking firefighters to pay for the excessive benefits of other governments. Issue 2 protects our communities from losing those who protect us.
Fewer firefighters can mean the difference between life or death.
Vote yes on issue 2.
So you see what they did? They used the beginning and the end of her again, but saying, listen, if you don't like issue 2 and Senate Bill 5, what happens? Well, those firefighters could go away from their perspective. Those police could go away from their perspective. Now, clearly, the Building a Better Ohio group, the pro issue 2, clearly they're trying to muddy the water and make a point using this same woman who is appearing in the ads statewide. Yeah, I get that. But is it just clever marketing, or do they actually do anything wrong? 513-749-7800, the big one, or pound 700 on AT&T. Now, Marlene Quinn, you have to understand, the reason she's in the ad in the first place is to play on fear. I mean, that's why she's there. Now, she may really believe in the union negotiatings as they've been done in the past. She may not like Issue 2 or Senate Bill 5 legitimately. But the reason they sought her out is because she's a very old lady who had her great-granddaughter saved by firefighters. It's very emotional. It's very emotional. They put an old lady in a commercial talking about this little girl being saved, and they show pictures of it. So that's good marketing on their point. From their perspective, it's very good marketing. But let's understand what they're doing. They're playing on fear, and they're using emotion. That's what you do in advertising. Isn't that what the pro-Issue 2 people are then doing? Well, yeah, they're doing the same thing as well. They shouldn't have used her. Clever marketing, absolutely. Yeah, it's clever marketing. But they shouldn't have used her knowing full well that this lady did not want to be in that commercial. That was wrong. That was an underhanded tactic. They should not have done it. So, you people that are pro-Issue 2, building a better Ohio, you screwed that one up. You screwed it up because now you look like you're willing to do anything. You're willing to cheat just to have it happen. You're willing to cheat just to get your way. Unfortunately, that's been what the whole issue has been shrouded in anyway. That you're willing to do whatever on both sides to get your outcome. The real problem with Senate Bill 5 and Issue 2 is this. And it finally dawned on me a week ago Monday. I moderated a debate between one of the union reps for the firefighters and a state senator at Lakota East High School. And I moderated it. I didn't comment. I just moderated and kept people on track. Everybody from the audience came up and had a chance to speak. And they questioned both of them. They got a minute or so to respond. And halfway through, I realized the real problem with Senate Bill 5 and Issue 2. It lumps all public workers together. That's the real problem. It lumps all public workers together. So if you want to talk about negotiating and maybe even collective bargaining, how do you compare what a police officer does to what a firefighter does? Or what either do to what a teacher does? Or what any of them do to a person who's working as a clerk in some public office somewhere, some local government office? You're going to put all of them on the same level? You can't even really compare what firefighters and police officers do. Both dangerous jobs. Both potentially could lose their lives. But even those aren't similar. Okay, so maybe you put emergency service public workers or government workers together. They're not exactly the same, but at least it's dangerous jobs. How do you compare police and firefighters and their job, putting their lives on the line, with teachers? Or with somebody that's working as a clerk, an administrative clerk in a government office? How do you combine all of them? That's the real problem. Because in ads like this, where they show the firefighters rescuing poor little Zoe, and her grandmother saying, our little Zoe wouldn't be with us right now. She's right. The firefighter saved her great-granddaughter. What does that have to do with somebody working as a clerk? A government worker as a clerk? What does that have to do with the government worker that is a teacher? Nothing. But those people are siding up saying, essentially, yeah, put us with the firefighters. You got teachers and all the other government workers that are all hopped up and marching as well, saying, yeah, we want to be with the firefighters and the police officers. Well, yeah, in the general sense of this, yeah, it deals with your bargaining, your collective bargaining, your contracts. But you're going to put yourself on the level of what firefighters and police officers do? Now, they've been thrown into this because of Senate Bill 5 and Issue 2. But they shouldn't have been. And that is the biggest failure of it. We cannot look at all public government workers the same way. We have to look at all of them individually with how they do their jobs and what their job entails. Because the teacher today, although important in a kid's life, probably isn't in danger like a firefighter or a police officer is today. The odds of a teacher getting killed on duty today, very slim. A police officer, a firefighter, much higher. And they know that. There's the biggest flaw with it. But I want to get your take on the commercials. Do you think it's wrong? Is it just clever on behalf of the pro-issue to building a better Ohio to go ahead and put this lady in it? She's all ticked off. I'd be ticked off if I were her, using my name and likeness and my words. Even though I'm in the commercial saying I do not stand for this, I think it was wrong on the building a better Ohio pro-issue 2 people. No, I don't want to make it sound like they're the only ones that's ever used any underhanded or questionable tactics. This happens all the time in politics, but it is wrong. All right, I'm going to get some calls, and I got a bunch of people. Cheryl, you're on 700 WLW.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I think she did. I'm a friend of the families of the aunts of Zoe's, and she did the no commercial because the fire department around right up the street around the corner from their house was on a blackout. They closed. And they had to call in other fire departments and, you know, to help put the fire out, and she got burned on her legs real bad, Zoe did, and the grandfather fell on top of her, collapsed, which probably saved her, too, from being burnt up. But, yeah, I agree with you that she should be mad on the yes issue.
I'd be mad.
But, you know, with them closing the fire department, I think that's why she originally did the no commercials.
Sure. I mean, I would be mad if I were her. Do you think it's just clever marketing, or should the building a better Ohio, that's the pro-issue 2 people, should they not have done this? Clever marketing or wrong?
They should not have done that, you know, because I know that she is upset that all of us are upset that, you know, fire departments closed and they had to wait a couple more minutes for the other departments to come.
All right. Well, I appreciate your thoughts. Thanks so much, Cheryl. Bill, Columbus, you're on the big one.
Yeah. Hi, Doc.
Hey there.
Yeah, I think probably, you know, it was completely wrong to have, you know, sort of doped over, if you will, the lady from Northside. That I don't think that's playing well up here too much in Columbus. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you and I would like it. I mean, especially if it's something you're passionate enough to be in a commercial against something, and then they spin it around.
Yeah, but to get to your point about lumping sort of all the unions together, you know, we took the laws basically from Wisconsin, Doc. We almost borrowed verbatim and plunked them down, you know, in Ohio. Up in Wisconsin, it's called the Wisconsin Employee Relations Board. Here it's called State Employee Relations Board. But, you know, a long time ago, I think what happened was management and labor just got together and decided, hey, it's a lot easier and we're a little bit lazy. Let's just put everybody together. So you've got university professors and teachers and you know, the inroads that Teamsters made through, you know, the public unions and what have you, and everybody got lumped together because it is a massive bureaucracy.
No, that's the only common thread, right? You've got a big bureaucracy that runs through all, you know, the entire government, public sector. I think even a lot of those employees know that. But it is very, you know, I wouldn't even compare college professors and school teachers. If you look at the quality of life that college professors have versus your local teacher, it's not even close. But who is more valuable to your kids? That local public school teacher, not the college professor, the K through 12. We understand that the biggest impact on a child's life and what leads to the future is what happens to them when they are learning in school at an early age. They're like sponges, and also what happens at home. So the comparison, not even close. Yet those college professors are the highest paid of any state worker across the country. Of all government employees, they are generally the highest paid. They're near the top always. Certainly the presidents of the universities and that are. How do you pay them hundreds of thousands, sometimes into the millions of dollars, versus the teachers, the local teachers? And then you compare both of them with police officers and firefighters who don't make anywhere near that and also put their life on the line. They could die any day that they are on the job. You see what I mean? It has to be decided. It has to be divided up. We have to look at these as separate issues now. We can no longer say, hey, it's government workers. They do vastly different jobs and they have vastly different responsibilities, and the danger level and the importance of their job, there's no comparison. I'm going to get some more of your calls coming up. I think Rich Hoffman's going to check in as well from North Dakota. It's Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. We're talking about Issue 2, SB 5, and the commercials that are being run. No, I think it's wrong for the people that are pro Issue 2 / SB 5 to use the lady who was in the other commercial. Yes, it's clever. I'm not saying that. But there's plenty of people that they could have got to come out and speak against it and make a great point. I understand what they were doing. They were trying to muddy the waters and confuse people, which they, I'm sure, accomplished at some point. But it really doesn't make their argument very well. Andrew checked in. He said, Doc, there are plenty of people who could have used, myself included, who could have been in that commercial to articulate that point. Rich Hoffman from No Lakota Levy, I'm sure they could have gotten you to appear in the commercial.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with the thing. There's so many folks that could have said something original. I kind of think for a long time that the people who have been for reforms have been frustrated with the way the other side kind of plays the game, and then there's a part of me that thinks you could have been more creative, and then there's a part of me that's kind of like, well, it's nice to see aggression on this side, trying to turn it around on them. But you can play the game at a higher level. I think that was a mistake.
Rich, when I moderated the event last week at Lakota East, at the end I just asked a couple random questions because I didn't comment. I just moderated it. And I asked a couple of questions just by applause. And one of the things I asked was, by applause, do you think it's a good idea that we include all government workers under the same umbrella with stuff like this?
Right.
And now there were people in support of Issue 2, and there were people against Issue 2 there.
Yep.
There was no sound. Nobody cheered. In other words, people realized that we need to separate all these occupations.
Right. They should have separated them. I could tell you in the infancy, the day after last year when we had the Lakota levy and it went down, and there was debate on how to handle the problem at Lakota. And a lot of the folks on the pro side wanted me to go up to Columbus with them and speak and bring more money into our district to solve our problem. I said, well, that doesn't solve your overall funding problem. So I went to some of this, and I know that people in Mason and Warren County and Springboro, and I know a lot of the people who were fighting higher taxes, did the same thing I did. And we all sat down with the Shannon Jones and the Bill Coleys and the Pete Becks, our representatives, and said, give us a fix. And that's what Senate Bill 5 started. In the initial discussions were, well, why, let's solve the education problem. Let's solve the school funding problem. And then it became this whole big blanket of, all public workers.
Oh, I see. So initially it was not supposed to be all public workers.
No, we asked specifically, why do you have to bring the police and firefighters? Why does it have to be them? And it's like, well, then you're showing that you're just going after teachers. And then there was legalisms that kind of muddied things up. So I thought at the time, and the questions were asked by people, not just me, but several other folks who were trying to ask for a fix for the school funding problem. Isn't there a better way to do it? Well, it's all public workers and they all need some sort of reform. So let's do it this way, and that's the way they chose to go. Which obviously you see the mistake is, firefighters are definitely one of the more respected professions out there. You look at rated professions, they're at the top, and police and teachers are more to the bottom as far as how public perceives them, and it's allowed. If you notice, the teachers have sort of just stayed totally out of this discussion.
Well, that's the thing.
They're firefighters.
Right. They're willing to, like I said, side up with it. And I'm sorry, your occupations are very, very different. I appreciate the comments, Rich. I do got to skate. I'm going to get some more calls coming up after the break. And also, Mo Egger, we went out to a local restaurant and reviewed it. Give you the details coming up on 700 WLW.